What is going on, all you Pokemon Collectomaniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPapa, and here we are with a follow-up to our video from Friday where we talked about cards under $20. Well, today we're talking about singles cards under $10, and again, I am just so excited. As I shared with you on that under $20 video, like I've been spending a lot of my time recently focused on Sealed, right? Because Sealed has had, I think it's time in the sun here, especially in the Sword and Shield era. I think the window of opportunity there is closing. There's tons of great deals to be had there. Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, Fusion Strike is still available on the Pokemon Center. Like, I think all of those boxes have very bright futures, and combine that with the fact that singles cards, I've been going through a little bit of a rough patch here as of late, and all my focus has been on Sealed, right? And I bring you guys on the same collecting and investing journey that I go on. So if I'm not buying singles, I'm not talking about buying singles here on this channel, but we're getting to the point now where I really feel like the single market is starting to calm down, at least to the degree that I'm willing to look at some cards, and I'm always searching for like awesome cards, an awesome Pokemon that are undervalued or unloved by the current market. And I think on this list, I've got a couple that I'm really excited to share with you. Now, I'm specifically looking for Sword and Shield era cards because I think that those cards are one of the ones that are the most ripe for the picking right now. I'm also looking for cards that have established some type of support line. I talk about that all the time here on the channel, so I'll look and see if they have any type of support line established, because at least it gives me some idea of what the current quote-unquote bottom might be. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to break that support line in the future, but at least it gives me a point of reference. I'm also looking for cards come from sets or subsets that I really, really love. I love alt arts. I love trainer gallery cards. You'll see a couple of them here on this list. And then, as always, I'm trying to take lessons from the past, apply them to the present, and hopefully give me some idea what might happen in the future. I think that's a really good and really smart thing to do anytime you're spending your money on something you want to either be an investment or a growth collectible like here in the Pokemon space. So, hey, if that type of logic makes sense to you and you enjoy content like this, hit that subscribe button. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. Any of those three small things I really appreciate, and it helps my small channel out. So thank you in advance. All right, with that being said, listen, let's get into some of these cards, and I did this one first because I absolutely love it, and I really think it's flying under the radar, and there might be some strong opinions to the contrary on this one. But when I started looking, I love Black Star promo cards, and I especially love Black Star promo cards that come from a product like the Celebrations Ultra Premium Collection box, right? That box has been flat for a long, long time, but it came out like like its freaking hair was on fire, right? It hit $340, $360, almost $400 at times, and that box is now back into the, mid to low $300 range. But that doesn't mean that the products that inside it are not absolutely on fire. So, of course, the metal cards, right? Those are the ones that get all the love. Super hard to grade, the Pikachu, the Charizard. But then you have these gold cards as well, right? And this Pokeball, well, first off, it's under $10, which is why it checks a box on this list. But the other thing I really love about it is look at those grading numbers, right? So there's only 490 PSA 10s of this in the entire world right now. I just pulled that information versus 1,450 PSA 9s, right? When you combine all of the other grades, like it's a 20% gem rate, which is absolutely crazy. I feel so lucky to have one of them sitting behind me over here. I have both the variants of this, in PSA 10, and I think it's really, really cool. The other thing I love is, listen, those ultra premium collections, again, I just don't see a lot of them being ripped. They're such a valuable long-term buy and hold a product right now that I don't see a lot of people ripping them. Doesn't mean that a few won't, trying to get those metal gold cards, out and graded in PSA 10. I think there's a lot of upside there. But for the most part, I think those that are out in the market are already out there. Obviously, they're really hard to get in PSA 10s, and all of those factors combine to a card that has the opportunity to have a really strong growth rate in the future. Again, if people want to try and get this in PSA 10, you either have to buy it sealed, which you can find on eBay, or you've got to rip one of those UPCs, and I don't think a lot of people are going to be out there ripping UPCs. So when you look at the price point right now, coming in at $8, I think this is an absolute stunner of a card. Black Star promo from Celebrations, really hard to grade. I love all of those things, and that's why it made #1 here on this list. Now, next one right here, I've talked about this before. I love this Blaziken Trainer Gallery card. I love everything about it. I think the artwork is absolutely fire. I think the artwork alone is enough to kind of propel this, into some greatness in the future. But as I've said before, I think Silver Tempest really had a rough go of things, right? Silver Tempest came out. It was the last set in the Sword and Shield era. It was going through its normal softness, which we see. Sets come out, singles card prices drop. But then on top of that, the market overall took a downturn, right? So Silver Tempest was just getting gut punched after gut punched and beaten down down, and I think Silver Tempest, I think the card lineup is really good. You know, I think the sealed product is undervalued compared to what it's going to be in the future. So I think all of those combined to give you a card like this at $8, which I think in the future, I mean, look at it, a year ago it was a $15 card, right? It has just absolutely got beaten down, and I think it has a very bright future. And again, nothing else can say this. I love the art. The art is absolutely fire, and at the end of the day, if you spend $8 and you have an absolute beautiful piece of art in your collection, like, you can do far worse than that. The other thing I always talk about is that support line, right? Look, even in May of 2023, it hit $7, it snapped back up. Then in November in 2023, it tried to get below $7, hit $7, snapped back up, right? Did the same thing in December. So feel really good that a $7 price point, at least as of late, is the bottom for this. So getting this in $8 range, I think is a really great price point, and I think this card has a very bright future once Silver Tempest finally gets the chance to get out, extend its legs, and go on a little bit of a run. Now, next card right here. This is probably going to surprise some people as well, because you all know I am super bullish on Fusion Strike. I love everything about Fusion Strike. I think it is one of the best sets in the Sword and Shield era. But this Gengar card is obviously far overshadowed by the big brother, you know, the alt art version, which is the big chase card here in Fusion Strike. So when I saw this card, I thought, well, I don't want to just pick this because, you know, Gengar is hot in Fusion Strike. But I started going back and looking at some other sets, and a lot of times what you'll see is whatever the big chase card is, the subsequent cards of that, whether it's a Rainbow Rare, whether it's a VMAX or a V-Star or an EX or whatever it is, you'll see that they kind of over time start to lump up together. They're at the very top. You can go back and look at some XY era sets and you see the same thing. So I think that as long as the Gengar alt art continues to perform well, which I just absolutely think it will. I think the card's fantastic. I think that this card will just organically see some growth with that in addition to. So again, when Fusion Strike gets to sold out on the Pokemon Center, it teased us the other day, it flipped to sold out, but then it went back in stock the next day. I think once that sells out, I think Fusion Strike sealed product is going to go on a run. I think that a lot of the singles cards are going to have the opportunity to really get some strong price appreciation in the future. And I think this Gengar is going to be no different. I think the big brother is going to pull this card up. And again, a lot of strong support in the $5 range, and you can get it right now at $6. And I think it is a very easy card. Is it going to be a $100 card in the future? Absolutely not. But can you absolutely make some really strong, you know, price growth starting at a $6 price point? Absolutely. Love this card. Love Fusion Strike. Pumped to have it on the list. Now, next one right here. I got a trainer on here, right? Now, we know the trainers have not been getting a lot of love as of late. I had one on my under $20 list, and you knew that I had to have this one on here because when we're talking about epic sets, you got to include Lost Origin, right? Lost Origin is hands down going to be one of those big Sword and Shield era sets. And then this is also a trainer gallery card, and I think trainer gallery cards have the opportunity to perform really well, right? I think alt arts obviously are the big dog in the Sword and Shield era, but I also think trainer galleries, you know, the little brother, little sister, whatever you will, I think have some really cool art, and I think they have the opportunity to outperform as well. Now, I do think that this Nessa is going to be the trainer card from the Lost Origin set, and if the Lost Origin set blows up, I think this card is organically going to see some lift with it as well. Now, look at it. It is down at $4.50. I don't think it has continued to fall, but I can't imagine it getting below $4. Now, I have been wrong just as many times as I have been right, but again, if you pick this card up for $4.50, what kind of downside do you have? It just isn't that much. If this card ends up being the true big trainer from the Lost Origin set, I think we have nothing but upside here. Again, $4.50 for an awesome card, awesome piece of art. You can do far worse than this, and I do think it's got a very bright future in the Lost Origin set. So, speaking of alt arts, okay, now, I did an introduction like this for the last under 20 video from an Astral Radiance card too, and I'm going to do it here for the Lilligant card because this isn't what you would typically see on a PikaPikaPaPa video, but I do think Astral Radiance is falling under the radar, and the thing that I love about this card, if you look from October of 2023 till now, it is held steady at that $10 price point, right? And I think that is very important because from October 2023 till now, we've seen a whole lot of singles cards go down in value, but for whatever reason, this alt art card right here has been able to hold its water, and that gives me a really solid jumping off point. If when everything else is going down, the card ends up staying stagnant in price, like that is to me nothing but upside, because listen, when the alt art hit happens, which and by that I mean like when alt arts just start to catch fire, I don't think it'll happen like it did with Sun and Moon, because Sun and Moon had some pandemic lift to it as well. But I think there's going to be a time when all of a sudden the hobby just snaps and goes, oh my god, alt arts are epic, not just the big ones, but even the other ones that have been flying under the radar. I think we're going to see all of those start to just organically go up in price, and Getting this card at $10, I think is going to be an absolute steal. I have been hunting hard on eBay for this. You can find this in the $10 range all day long, and I think this card is awesome. The art is just awesome too. Like, look at how cool that is. Again, the cool thing about this Pokemon hobby that you and I love so much is you can spend $10 on a card like this, and even if it doesn't go up a penny, you have an amazing card with some awesome art, and that is it's just too cool, right? Like, it is absolutely awesome that we are in such an amazing hobby like this. So that's why this card is on the list. Love the fact that the price has been so steady for so long, even when other cards have been going down. I do think Astral Radiance has fallen under the radar, and I do think that alt arts as a whole, just as an entire subset, is going to see a pop here sometime in the future. Now, you always know this, I always do bonus picks. You guys should just anticipate it by now. This video, I only have 2 bonus picks, but I put them on the same slide because this is a flyer. I don't know what's gonna happen with these two, right? The Mew and the Pikachu from Lost Origin. Like, if you go back and you look over the decades, really, like, gold cards just don't tend to do very well. But for whatever reason, I've just got this feeling in my Poke guts that these cards will have the opportunity to see some price appreciation. Are they gonna be $50, $80, $100 cards in the future? I absolutely don't think so. But when you think about the artwork on here, like, I think these are absolute fire. If you have them in a PSA 10 holder, which I have a couple of each of these in a PSA 10 holder, like, they're just stunning pieces that you can add to your collection. And with the starting price point in the raw area of $6 and $5, that Pikachu has a really steady Eddie price point there in the $5 range, and that Mew was in the $5 range, but it's actually started to work its way up to $6. It is going to be really interesting for us over the Scarlet and Violet era and whatever the next era is to see how these Sword and Shield singles cards perform, right? Because we saw all these strong returns from the Sun and Moon single market, at least the big name cards and some of the big sets. But again, how much of that was fueled by Pandemic Pump and how much of that was fueled by true collector interest? I think the hobby has flushed out a lot of the people who are here just for that pandemic quick turn and flip and make some money. I think we have a lot of true collectors and just true enthusiasts left in the hobby. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sun and Moon performs as a whole, and I think these cards do have the opportunity, again, to make us a couple bucks. Do I think they're going to be huge ones? They're going to put your kids through college? Absolutely not. But do I think that they are really safe buy and holds at this price point? And do I think they're just awesome art to add to your collection all day long? So listen, this was a ton of fun, and I said, you know, I'm starting to feel a little bit more mojo here in the singles market, so I expect to be producing a little more singles content here. And if that gets you excited and you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. Questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. I always say this, and I can't stress it enough. I appreciate you more than I can possibly say. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an epic freaking day. I'll talk to all of you soon. Bye.